Nothing we say is investment advice. Please pause on all 3 pages of this disclaimer and read it.
Good morning, everybody. Wow, frog voice. Sorry for that. Good morning, everybody. Cowboy here, aka Nick, and we're looking at Bitcoin actually right now. We're going to jump into the NASDAQ, but remember, some of that data is a little bit delayed. So we're going to hang back from that. We just got a couple of pieces of news out. And it's a big news day. It's a lot of stuff happening. What just dropped? CPI year over year. So inflation cooled, right? So the year over year expectation on CPI was 3.1%. And that's not actually, okay, it didn't cool. There's still inflation. It is at 2.7 instead of 3.1. So acceleration is decreasing, right? Meaning that inflation is happening at a less than expected rate. Okay, so under normal circumstances, that's bullish for stuff. And if you look at Bitcoin, where were we? It certainly pushed the price up just a little bit. We're looking at the 30-minute chart right there. So that's significant. It went from 87 to 88.5. It's already kind of calming down, but that did spike things. And there are a lot of different news events, like I said, happening this morning, right? So if you take a look at, say, you had the euro refinancing rate. I don't see them updating the data, but we had the monetary policy for England, Britain, really, the same for Europe, for the euro. There's a lot of news that happened overnight. So the charts are kind of, a little funky to trade, but the news is essentially done for the day. We have a little bit more coming out for the ECB. Their press conference is going to happen. So they've already announced their rate, their policy statement as of 6:15, supposedly. But then they're going to talk about it. So the euro might be a little funky to trade for the next 30 minutes to an hour. We'll see. Everything else should be kind of okay to trade. We'll take a look at the charts here in a second. But I will say that the cool print on the US CPI is indication of like, okay, we can continue to cut rates. That's really what that's really what the look is going to be. It's like, okay, it's approaching 2%. Now, Powell did remove that 2% mandate, but it still seems as if that's kind of what they're aiming at, right? So as long as the inflation is lower than expected, as we saw this morning, then we can expect further cuts in the interest rate. That's kind of the key here. Further cuts usually mean it usually means the number goes up, and we can see here on the NASDAQ that it's been minorly affected, like not a very big effect on that. If I jump down to say like the 5-minute chart, you'll see just a little funky price action, price swinging around a little bit here, probably due as much to the other announcements as that is, but here's the CPI price moving up just a little bit. Not really a big surprise. I don't think it's not a big miss. So if I were to just kind of look at the NASDAQ algorithmically, I could tell you that high time frame, it is definitely due for maybe a break of going up. Like the NASDAQ just goes up. Like, I mean, let's face it, this is the NASDAQ going back to like 2007, right? So, everybody freaks out when the NASDAQ falls a few percent, but you must understand all it ever does is go up. You had this break in 2021 and really 2022 when it went down for like a while. And this was coincidental with the special military operation, aka Russian invasion of Ukraine. And so that was like a 37% drop in the NASDAQ, which is significant. And then the taper tantrum, was it? Tariff tantrum. That was about 26%, right? And that happened like February of this year, and it came right back up. Of course, the tariffs were simply removed. So now what we're looking at today is the Bank of Japan data coming out. So this is a high time frame look. Let's go to a lower time frame. Know that the high time frame does have some pressure to kind of retrace a bit. There is also, you can see it happening in the charts right now, but there's a good chance the price might be able to stabilize for now around this $24,000, $25,000 mark. When price was falling, it was held up back here at the end of November. It was held up at the $24,000 mark right there. And then price did head up, but we had some bearishness in the look. This semicircle rounded top is never a good look for the bulls, meaning that it's rather bearish when you have that pattern of kind of a dome or a half circle top right there, that rounded top. That actually is when you like you see that and it's kind of like, okay, maybe we're gonna see a little retracement there. It's extremely possible based on that. Like, and when I say retracement, I mean a continued move down. So what's likely here right now? I mean, just based on the price action, I would expect price to go anywhere. Let me zoom in a little bit here. Okay. I would expect price, and we are looking at the 3-hour chart here. So, this, what I'm about to talk about is going to cover like days. And it's really hard to predict too far out because we have the Bank of Japan data coming out, and it could come out really at any time. I think it's supposed to come out tomorrow, the 19th. So for us, that would be like later this evening. They never tell you exactly what time they're going to do it over in Japan. But what we might see today is like not a lot of price action, but maybe a grind up or not. I mean, it can really do a lot of things. But if they hike the rate in Japan, then we may see a continuation down, right? It's extremely hard to predict what's going on today. I would really shy away from trying to like do swing trades and just, oh, I'm going to hold it for so many hours. And that might be a tricky thing for two reasons. We might see a very big decrease in volatility. So price might not move that much for you in whatever your trades are. You just might not have a lot of opportunity for price to move. And then the other issue with that is we don't know what's going to happen when the BOJ talks. We don't know what they're going to do. No one does. I mean, I'm sure a few very wealthy, well-informed people know, but no one, outside of those very few people do. So you're looking at a dangerous, you don't have the ability to apply your algorithm in a very predictable way. Your probabilistic model is rendered inert because you're relying on decision making at that point. So that said, we'll see. We'll see if the CPI is not having that big of an effect right now on the NASDAQ. So it is what it is. So we'll see about it. Let's go ahead and move on. We got USDJPY. Look at the chart there. This is, give me 1 second. Okay, so I'm looking at the euro. That's why I'm getting confused here. Okay, so the CPI, yeah, this is an expected reaction. So with CPI, you would expect the kind of what I talked about yesterday, just price grinding up, and finally the data came out. CPI came out a little bit weak, and I was expecting a beginning of this move based on the Japanese yen, but it does appear that the CPI also is making the dollar weak instead of making the Japanese yen strong. Same effect, but probably not as probably not as poignant. But we are seeing this chart reverse. Now, will it continue to do so? Let's take a look here. It may. I think this, if it were to reverse down, now would be the time. It's, believe it or not, there's a fair amount of bullishness like in the high time frame. So it would take a pretty severe force to really force this down. Like you're looking at short-term moves at this point. So I wouldn't be like outside of the BOJ scenario, like pulling out on the daily here. I wouldn't expect, like, just as the charts are right now, if there was no BOJ concerns, if the world was just kind of chugging along, and the algos were all I cared about, I would expect something like this, and then maybe an eventual move down, but some chop upward and then a move down. But the BOJ could change that, and eventually there would be a move down. But because we have that BOJ situation, you know, the what do you call it? The carry trade, the end carry trade unwind. You know, we might see this today, and then boom. You know, and that's on the daily chart. That's going out to like the end of the year. This is a high time frame look. So we're gonna see. It's, you know, there's not a lot we can really do until they come out with their info. If we look closely here at the euro versus the dollar, there's some bullishness left on that high time frame. It's I think starting to fizzle out. So that being the case, it looks like we're going to get some messy range type stuff for a while on the euro. We'll see about it. If anything on the daily, we might start to see just for a few days. And again, the Bank of Japan thing can affect the euro versus the dollar. It's a big enough thing to do that. So that might change everything I'm about to say, but I would expect like a chop with a slight bearish nature for a little while. Not too long, week or two maybe. And then after that, it's going to be what it's going to be. So I would say like, you know, day trades, trading the structure kind of thing with this. So when you don't have a very clear direction, when all of your high time frames are fighting each other, then the way to do it is to just kind of trade the lower time frame stuff, and you look for opportunities on, you know, like the day trading or stuff like that. And if you're not a day trader, then you might just have to wait until those opportunities become clear. A lot of trading is waiting. You have to just wait until the entire plan becomes feasible based on the price action. Now, the ECB talks in like 3 minutes. So what we'll do is we're going to hop off of here. We're going to go to the private live lab. Thank you all for watching. There's a free algo. The link is in the description. Excuse me. The link's in the description. Click on that. You do have to optimize that algo, so you can't just trade it right away, but you get to see how I build it, how I turn it into code, and the tools that we use to connect it to your brokerage so you can actually trade or have it trade for you while you're out doing whatever you do, golfing, shopping, sleeping. But yeah, thank you for watching. Do the like, subscribe, do all that stuff, and we will catch you on the flip side. Never, ever forget.
Join us or die.
Just kidding. You're not going to die. We love you.